So yesterday was just a video, having some wine, talking about some stuff. I think today might be similar. After yesterday's Chardonnay, which I finished, with the sushi. It was great. I wanted a little bit of cheese, so I opened up a glass of red. And I opened up this wine, which is a Cab Franc from St. Nicolas de Bourgueil in the Loire, Domaine Le Pen, Pitot Laundry, so it's 2019, and 100% Cab Franc, 14.1% alcohol from France, and it's $17, and it's great. It's proof positive that under $20 you absolutely can get great wine. And Cab Franc probably doesn't get drank nearly as much, Cabernet Franc, as much as Cabernet Sauvignon, but Cabernet Franc ends up being the father to Cabernet Sauvignon. They melded together Cabernet Sauvignon and Sauvignon Blanc, a white grape, to make Cabernet Sauvignon, which is this big, unctuous, potentially unctuous, tannic grape that could be made all over the world and is made all over the world. The best places, Bordeaux and Napa, where they're extremely different, but then South Africa and Italy and Argentina and Chile, Spain to some degree, but just so many places. So many places. Cab Franc, on the other hand, not really made all that much, nowhere near in comparison to Cabernet Sauvignon, and not as big and as heavy, but still very elegant and food friendly. I'd say it's a touch more acidic than Cab Sauvignon. I think Sauvignon Blanc is where Cab Sauv gets his, well, some of the acidity, but this one smells great. This has like this violet, perfumey, mulled raspberry smell. But it always, it's not raspberry, it's cherry. It's a dark cherry, dark Bing cherry that's always this dusty, dark cherry flavor I get. Sometimes I get dusty cherries also from Beaujolais, which I haven't even spoken about Beaujolais. I haven't had a Beaujolais in a while, Beaujolais Cru especially, which is Gamay Noir, totally different grape here. But sometimes that dusty cherry I get from both Cab Franc and Beaujolais. So different aromas here. It's not all these black unctuous fruits, but and a little bit more of an herbal component out of Cab Franc, especially out of the Loire. So the Loire's got Bourgueil, St. Nicolas de Bourgueil, most famously Chinon, but then they make Cab Franc in California. They make Cab Franc in other places in the world. It's used very heavily in the right bank. So in the right bank, it's Merlot Cab Franc heavy, mostly Merlot, but they can do Cab Franc heavier and then a little bit less Merlot. Cheval Blanc, most famously in the right bank, is Cab Franc and Merlot from the movie Sideways. That was the prize wine that I think Miles was his name, had in the movie that he drank at the end in the styrofoam cup after he found out his ex-wife was pregnant, and he had it with it was a 63, I'm pretty sure, which was considered one of the great Cheval Blanc years. But anyway, Cab Franc heavy wine. Probably tastes very different than this. I had a Cheval Blanc, ironically. 2001 Cheval Blanc is probably the most expensive wine I've ever purchased and drank. And I shared it with my cousin at one of our birthdays. He shares a birthday with me in February. It's a number of years ago now. I want to say it was, gosh, I don't even remember anymore, to be honest. But this wine is great, especially for $17. They make a Vilvigna that I bought from there too. I think it was a few more dollars, 21, maybe a few more. I don't think I'm getting the price wrong on this, but I think it's a great wine for under 20 bucks. Food friendly. You know, it's there, this dusty cherry, this herbal. There's tannin, there's acidity. It's not punch you in the face tannin. Doesn't mouth pucker you too much. More medium plus tannin than maybe high like Cab would be. Cab's always medium plus high. Not always, but mostly. But a very pleasant, very good, delicious wine for 20 bucks, under $20. But Cab Franc, not often bought. Doesn't even say the grape on the front. It does say it on the back, but got to know the region. Got this from Prince and Corkscrew, and I've always liked this wine. I want to do something where I compare and contrast Cab Francs from around the world. And I have a Sean Thackeray Cab Franc, which I think is awesome. Sean Thackeray being one of my favorite winemakers. He's out of California, and he uses a lot of ancient techniques, sources the majority of his grapes, but has a vast collection of ancient winemaking books. And he uses a lot of those techniques to make his wines. And he made this Cab Franc one year, and I did buy it, and it was rather expensive. I'd love to try maybe grab a Chinon. Cab Franc from Working Dog, their Retriever, is a great, great New Jersey Cab Franc. They did not make Retriever this vintage, so I'm thinking I'll wait till Retriever's out again, which is their best plots. They have the best oak treatment, best grapes out of their vineyard in the pristine vintages. Compare it to this, compare it to the Cab Franc. I'll probably do it all out of the Coravin, glass of each, see how it tastes. Give it a compare and contrast of Cab Franc from New Jersey, Central Loire, or Middle Loire, and California. If I find a Cab Franc heavy right bank Bordeaux, I could probably add that in the mix too. I think that would be a lot of fun. I could do a little research and see. I'm sure there's one, I just don't know it offhand. I've wanted to do that with a number of different wines. I've done it with Cab. I've done a Cab tasting from across the world, and in a price point which were mostly disappointing. And then those inexpensive reds and the Tarima Hill from Spain ended up being very, very drinkable, where the rest just were very, very average in that low price point. This won't have a price point, so maybe I do some comparing and contrasting of South African Cab, Argentinian Cab, but they got to be in that right price point, not super expensive. I mean, there's... Oh, I didn't even talk about Australia. Australia absolutely makes Cab Sauv also. Known more for their Shiraz and other things. I want to get a Hunter Valley Semillon. That's been on my wish list for a long time. Semillon being a white grape, and I know I'm tangent here, but Hunter Valley in Australia makes supposedly a really great Semillon, or makes a great wine out of Semillon, which isn't typically used 100%. Semillon is part of the blend with Sauv Blanc in white Bordeaux's, so I think it's in the Grave of Bordeaux. They'll make a lot of white Bordeaux, and it's Sauv Blanc Semillon blends, and those Bordeaux can age pretty well. I more lean, when I want white, not to white Bordeaux as much, but to white Burgundy, and then Chardonnays from other places like California. Chablis, I guess that's white Burgundy, but still. So definitely some comparing and contrasting I could do with some grape varietals, and just have a taste of each one and just give it a, this is what it tastes like from this part of the world, this country, this region. I think that could be fun. So I'm going to have a little bit of cheese with this and call it a night. Tomorrow I think it's going to be salmon, the day after steak. Don't know which wines I'm going to open. I do have a 2008 Cab from Napa that I want to open before it gets too old. Been really into trying a lot of older reds that are a little less unctuous and over the top, but more restrained and just show a little bit more sense of place, or maybe an older, less alcoholic style, maybe more food friendly. Not that I necessarily don't like those big style of wines either, Amarones and some others, but got a lot of wine coming in. Carlisle got a shipment. Some select, I have a few wines that I've ordered that need to come across. I think I got about 2.5 cases out of J.J. Buckley. I'd like to make a trip to Princeton Corkscrew to grab a bunch of wine that I've been eyeballing. I've got a case in my mind there. And then I go to Laurenti. It's going to be dangerous. Got a lot of Italian wines on the list, on the wish list, but kind of on a little bit of a buying hiatus for a little bit. Let the wines I have come in, drink some of the ones I have, let some others age. I think I'm trying to let some just age a little bit longer. So with that, we're going to have some cheese, enjoy some more of this wine, and I'll be back tomorrow for some salmon. Well, wine and salmon.